There are two paths to FedRAMP authorization, FedRAMP Rev 5 and FedRAMP 20X. In this video, we'll explain the key differences between FedRAMP Rev 5 and FedRAMP 20X so that you understand the differences and can make a good decision about which to pursue. FedRAMP Rev 5 at a high level is based on the NIST 853 controls, has a manual assessment, requires a System Security Plan or SSP, which is a large written document, and requires an agency sponsor in order to be fully authorized. FedRAMP 20X is a new modern approach to FedRAMP. Instead of using the NIST 853 controls, it uses the FedRAMP key security indicators. The evidence and assessment approach, instead of a manual assessment that's based on screenshots, is an automated continuous evidence assessment. The documentation, instead of the large written SSP document, is a machine-readable, continuous stream of data that attests to the security. Lastly, there's no agency sponsor requirement for FedRAMP 20X, meaning that you can go through the full FedRAMP 20X process without a specific agency already lined up and ready to use your system. Now let's talk in detail about the differences between FedRAMP Rev 5 and FedRAMP 20X. So FedRAMP Rev 5 is called Rev 5 because it's based on the NIST 853 Revision 5 control set. This is a list of requirements that's published by NIST that's used across the world for cybersecurity risk management. FedRAMP selected the relevant NIST 853 controls that apply to cloud-based systems and established baselines of FedRAMP low, moderate, and high, which are the relevant controls with control subparts and control parameters provided by FedRAMP that you will be assessed against if you choose the FedRAMP Rev 5 path. This means there's likely going to be hundreds, 300 or 400 controls that you'll be assessed against. For each of those controls, you'll need to show evidence that you've implemented that control to an independent, accredited third-party auditor. The auditor usually will meet in person with you or virtually and will ask you to gather an evidence request list, which is a list of screenshots and configuration dumps and evidence files that show that you're meeting all those security requirements. This assessment approach is typically a once-a-year assessment that often takes a few weeks to a few months and involves your security team gathering lots of evidence, as we mentioned, through screenshots and configuration dumps. Then when you've gathered all this evidence and your auditor has reviewed it, the next step will be to document it in the System Security Plan, the SSP. This is a Word or PDF document that ranges from hundreds to 1,000 plus pages of written prose describing how you have implemented all the security requirements. From there, you'll submit your SSP that your independent auditor has certified to the FedRAMP Program Management Office, where they will perform a review, and then your agency sponsor will perform a review before authorizing your system for use. FedRAMP Rev 5 requires an agency sponsor in order to have complete FedRAMP authorization. FedRAMP 20X is a new modern approach to FedRAMP authorization that's focused on automated evidence gathering and continuous assessment, sometimes called continuous ATO. FedRAMP 20X does not use the NIST 853 control sets. Instead, FedRAMP has created key security indicators, which are based on the NIST controls, but are specialized for cloud-based systems using modern approaches. The key security indicators are a lot less in number than the NIST 853 controls. FedRAMP Rev 5, you may have 300 or 400 control requirements that you have to implement, whereas the key security indicators, you're looking at 50 to 60 KSIs. In terms of assessment, instead of manually gathering screenshots or explaining to your auditor and gathering configuration dumps to show them, for FedRAMP 20X, you need to have automated continuous evidence validation. This means you'll configure connections between your security tools and your data sources to pull in telemetry or configurations that can be automatically checked against the key security indicators. This typically reduces the time of the audit and makes the process faster than a Rev 5 audit. For FedRAMP 20X, you don't have to write a System Security Plan or SSP. Instead, you have to make all of the data for your 20X assessment, including that continuous evidence, available in a programmatic, machine-readable way. Often this is an API provided by a GRC tool that enables you to have a trust center and access to all of that configuration data that shows that you're meeting the security requirements. Agencies do not have to sponsor you to get FedRAMP 20X authorized. FedRAMP 20X authorization, because it relies on automation and programmatic continuous methods, you can go through with simply your independent auditor and the FedRAMP Program Management Office, and then approach agencies once you've completed your FedRAMP 20X authorization. This removes a key roadblock that stopped many FedRAMP Rev 5 programs from getting authorized. I hope this video has helped you understand some of the key differences between FedRAMP Rev 5 and FedRAMP 20X. At a high level, FedRAMP Rev 5 is the traditional risk management approach that relies on manual evidence and a written system security plan, whereas FedRAMP 20X is a modern approach that relies on continuous evidence, machine-readable documentation, and doesn't require an agency sponsor. If you have more questions about the differences between FedRAMP Rev 5 and FedRAMP 20X, or if you want to understand more about government cybersecurity requirements and what FedRAMP is, check out some of the videos on our page, and we hope this helps.